Hey, Fran. I wanted to go through some of the things we're talking about. You're talking about having a humidity problem, but I wanted to explain visually what I was talking about. So this is the standard size bearing, and it goes on there, and it's designed to go on there, so humidity shouldn't affect the metal. So that must mean that you're getting some sort of connection, wood on wood, and so you see how that turns there. What I was thinking is that if this bearing is pushed too far inside, like it's gone all the way through to this side, then this lip on the inside of the bearing may be rubbing against the inside of this. Like if it got shoved in all the way, I don't know if you can see it, but there's just a millimeter or so between this outside wood piece and the metal piece inside, to allow this inside ring to turn freely. If that's the case, then you probably need a punch or something that can just be tapped with a hammer a little bit to push that bearing back away from the inside of the inside of this bearing socket. But I was thinking, because I tried to do that enough to compensate for any kind of humidity, because that really isn't a very thick piece of wood, so it shouldn't swell too much, and even if it swells proportionally, it probably shouldn't be affecting the bearing, but it could be. So if that's the case, need to somehow extract this bearing. It's inset with hot glue, so you may have to heat this up a little bit to get the glue more pliable in order to tap it back out the other way. But that sits on there. I think a more likely thing, and this occurred to me last night, was that because these caps are compression fit, that they should only go on part way. And if when you were painting them and reassembling and you glued them and you got it really too tight, then the bearings won't turn like that. If you haven't set the glue, just try and back those off a little bit, and they should turn freely. If you have set the glue, what I'm thinking you could probably do is use a little piece of emery cloth to get in between that nut and the inside of that gear. And that's probably going to be painful. You may see if you can pry the nut away from the bearing a little bit. That's going to be kind of tough, because then if you pry on that, you're probably pushing the bearing back in. But if you can get just a little bit of freedom on there, you can, go ahead and sand that through. You don't need, well, basically you don't need a lot of space at all. You just need enough for that bearing to turn freely. Anyway, I thought that might help you a little bit in terms of where it could be. Now, I don't think your issue is with the teeth. If it is, then probably the thing to do is to put a little, to use like a crayon or some other kind of paraffin wax to adjust, to create a little bit of lubrication on those that would be waterproof, and that would be done with wax. I hope that helps. If you can get the nut loose, that would be great. If you can't, I would see if there's a little bit of space in there that you can get some emery cloth in and sand those out. But I'm pretty sure that's where your issue is coming from.